I'd spent 2 full days in the kitchen, chopping, basting, cleaning, smiling through it all, because I wanted this Christmas to be perfect. Not just for me, but for my husband, Eric, and our 2 kids. I thought if I made everything flawless, maybe this year his mother, Diane, would finally see me as part of the family. I was wrong. It started small, the same comments I'd learned to swallow over the years. "Oh, that's an interesting stuffing recipe. You're brave using store-bought crusts." And then the whispered digs, when she thought I couldn't hear. I told Eric he could have done better. I should have known something was coming, but I still held on to hope. Because despite all her criticism, I kept trying. I had 14 people at that table. Her family, her cousins, even her church friend Barbara, who always wore too much perfume and liked to say, "Bless your heart," like it was an insult. When everyone arrived, I smiled and took coats. The turkey was golden, the sides warm, the candles glowing. It smelled like peace, or at least what I thought peace should smell like. And then Diane walked in. She took off her coat slowly, like she was entering a stage, not a home. "Oh," she said, scanning the table. "You really went all out." I said, "Merry Christmas, Diane." She didn't reply. She walked straight to my husband, kissed his cheek, and said, "You must be starving, honey." When we all sat down, I started to serve the plates. That's when she said it. "Wait," Diane said, raising a hand. "We'll eat when the real family arrives." The room went silent. Forks froze. My son looked at me, confused. "Mommy, who's the real family?" I felt something twist inside my chest. My cheeks burned, but I smiled anyway, that same practiced, polite smile I'd worn for years. I said softly, "I thought we all were." Diane laughed. "You know what I mean," she said. "Eric's brother and his wife are running late. We can wait." Everyone laughed with her, even her church friend. My husband shifted uncomfortably but said nothing. He just squeezed my knee under the table. That was supposed to make it better. It didn't, so I waited. For 2 hours, the food went cold. The gravy congealed. When her precious real family finally showed up, they barely apologized. And as everyone dug in, Diane clinked her glass and said, "Now it feels like Christmas." That was the moment something in me cracked. Not loud, not dramatic, just silent, the kind of crack that changes everything quietly. After dinner, when I was scraping cold mashed potatoes into the trash, I looked at Diane's perfect red nails tapping on her wine glass and thought, next year, she'll get her wish. I'd spent 5 years trying to earn her respect. Through effort, through grace, through silence. Next year, she could have the whole show. She could cook. She could host. And she could learn what it felt like when no one lifted a finger to help. Because I wasn't just going to skip Christmas. I was going to give her one she'd never forget. I stopped trying to prove myself to people who never intended to see me. And that silence scared them more than my anger ever did. In January, Diane texted like nothing had happened. "Lovely dinner last year, dear. You really outdid yourself." I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed, "Thanks. Next year, it's all yours." Her reply came instantly. "Oh, don't be silly. You love hosting." But she was wrong. I loved believing that hosting would make her love me. That illusion was gone. By spring, Eric noticed the change too. "You haven't called my mom in months," he said one night while folding laundry. I looked up and said, "I'm tired of volunteering for disrespect." He didn't argue, just nodded, slow, thoughtful. He'd seen the humiliation last Christmas. He'd heard our daughter whisper, "Are we not family?" Words no 5-year-old should ever have to say. He knew something had shifted. By summer, Diane started testing the waters. "Are you making your famous pies for Thanksgiving again?" she asked during a family call. "No," I said simply. "You should try making them. The recipe's online." The silence that followed was delicious. Then December came. Christmas talk started early in the family group chat. Photos of tablecloths, discussions about themes, who was bringing what. And then the text came from Diane. "Everyone's invited to our house this year. I'll handle dinner." I smiled when I saw it. She really thought it would be easy. The week before Christmas, she called me twice. I didn't answer. Then a third time. This time I picked up. "Hi, Diane," I said. "Oh, good, you're there," she said breathlessly. "I was just wondering how long to roast the turkey. Yours was perfect last year." I use Google, I said. It's helpful. Silence. Then, you're not going to give me your recipe? I said, it's not the recipe that matters, Diane, it's the love behind it. I hung up before she could respond. Christmas Eve arrived cold and gray. Eric asked if I was sure about going. I said yes, because some lessons need an audience. When we got to Diane's house, the smell hit me first, something burnt and bitter. She was in the kitchen, red-faced, stirring a pot of gravy that looked like tar. Oh, you're early, she said, forcing a smile. I looked around. Nothing was ready. The table was bare, the turkey still in the oven, half-cooked. Need help? I asked sweetly. No, she said sharply. I've got it covered. Her words from last year echoed in my mind. We'll eat when the real family arrives. I smiled. Of course you do. An hour passed. Then 2. Guests arrived. Her cousins, her church friends, all dressed up and hungry. The house filled with the smell of burnt rolls and panic. By the 3rd hour, Diane was pacing, muttering about timing. The turkey was undercooked in the middle, dry on the edges. The mashed potatoes were cold lumps, and when her perfect son-in-law asked if dinner was ready, she snapped, "Do it yourself, then." Eric and I sat quietly with the kids, watching it all unfold. Her church friend whispered, "This is not what I expected." Diane's cheeks flushed. She shot me a glare like this was somehow my fault. But I just smiled politely, cutting my kids a slice of bread. Then, somewhere between her burnt green beans and her half-frozen pie, it happened. The thing I'd been waiting for all year. She dropped the ladle, turned to Eric, and said in a shaky voice, "Your wife made this look so easy." I don't know how she did it. And Eric, my quiet, conflict-avoiding husband, looked her straight in the eye and said, "She did it because she cared about everyone here. You just care about control." The room went silent. Diane's lip trembled, but she said nothing. She just turned away, muttering about needing a minute, and disappeared into the kitchen. For the first time ever, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel invisible. I felt seen, not by her, but by everyone else in that room. The rest of that night felt like slow motion. Every clang of a fork, every awkward cough. It all stretched into this surreal symphony of discomfort. No one knew where to look. Diane stayed in the kitchen, pretending to check on the pie, but everyone knew she was hiding. And there I was, sitting where she once stood, calm, collected, with nothing to prove. It was almost poetic. My daughter climbed into my lap, whispering, "Mommy, are we eating now?" I smiled softly. "Soon, honey." But deep down, I knew soon was relative. The turkey came out half raw. The sides were cold. The pie crust had fused itself to the dish like concrete. Eric tried to help, he always did, but even he couldn't salvage what Diane had destroyed. And when her real family finally arrived, the ones she'd been waiting for last year, they came bearing store-bought rolls and wine. No apology, no gratitude, just noise. I watched as she scrambled to reheat things, barking orders, snapping at everyone. The more she tried to control the night, the faster it slipped through her fingers. Then, it happened. She turned around, too fast, and spilled gravy, thick, dark, oily, all over the floor. Her cousin gasped. Her grandkids laughed. And for the first time in years, I laughed too. Not out of spite, out of release. All the humiliation, the cold shoulders, the snide remarks, gone, melting into that moment of absurdity. Eric caught my eye. I could tell he was torn, embarrassed maybe, but proud too. Because I wasn't shrinking anymore. We helped clean up, but quietly, politely. No heroics, no rescuing. Just quiet boundaries wrapped in kindness. When it was finally time to eat, or more accurately pick at things, Diane's husband raised a toast. To family, he said weakly. No one responded. Our daughter leaned over to whisper, "Is this the real family?" I smiled at her, steady. "No, sweetheart, you are." By the end of dinner, Diane had given up the act. She sat down, exhausted, eyes glassy, her perfect makeup cracking under the weight of her own performance. She looked at me and said, "I don't know how you do it." And for once, there was no venom in her voice, just confusion. I looked back and said, "I stopped doing it for you." The words hit harder than I expected, for both of us. She looked away, silent. The table buzzed with soft conversation again, the kind that only exists when truth has cleared the air. That night, we left early. Eric drove, quiet as the snowfall outside. After a few miles, he said, "You handled that with grace." I said, "Grace doesn't mean silence anymore." He smiled, really smiled, and reached for my hand. When we got home, I tucked our daughter into bed. She looked up at me and said, "Grandma looked sad today." "She did," I said softly. "Will she be nicer now?" I brushed her hair back and said, "Maybe. But even if she's not, we'll still be happy." That night, I sat by the tree, the lights blinking softly. No chaos, no tension, just peace. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like an outsider in my own family. Because I realized something powerful. You can't win love from people who need to see you small. You can only stand tall and let their reflection speak for itself. But the story didn't end there. Because 2 days later, on December 27th, my phone rang. Diane. And the tone of her voice? That's when everything shifted again. It was 2 days after Christmas when my phone lit up with Diane's name. For a moment, I considered letting it go to voicemail. Old habits die hard. But something in me wanted to hear her tone. Maybe I was curious. Maybe I just wanted closure. "Hello?" There was a pause, a soft inhale. Then, "Hi." Her voice was smaller than I'd ever heard it. No sharp edges, no icy control. Just human. "I wanted to thank you," she said quietly. That caught me off guard. For what? For letting me handle Christmas. I didn't say anything. She laughed nervously. It was a disaster, wasn't it? I took a slow breath. It wasn't easy. She sighed, a deep, weary sound. "I used to think hosting was just about food and presentation. You made it look effortless last year. I thought you were showing off." There was a pause. "But I see now it was something else. You cared." It was strange hearing that from her. The same woman who once sneered that I tried too hard. "I didn't realize how much you did," she continued, voice cracking slightly. "Eric told me you used to stay up until midnight prepping sides. I wanted to feel important again. But instead, I ruined it for everyone." Part of me wanted to comfort her. But another part, the stronger one, knew that this wasn't about easing her guilt. It was about honesty. "You didn't ruin it," I said. "You just showed everyone what I'd been carrying." There was silence. And then, softly, "I deserve that." It wasn't an apology. Not yet. But it was the closest thing she'd ever given. Before we hung up, she said something that surprised me. "Next year, I'd like to come to your place, if you'll have me." I didn't answer right away, but I didn't say no. 3 months later. It's March now, and the snow has melted. Life has slipped back into its rhythm. School drop-offs, grocery runs, the quiet comfort of normal days. But something is different. Diane calls sometimes, not to criticize, not to pry, but to ask about her granddaughter. She sends recipes too, small gestures that feel like peace offerings. And while I'm cautious, I also recognize something new in her. Humility. Eric noticed it too. He said, "It's weird not walking on eggshells around her." I said, Maybe she finally took her own mask off. He laughed. Or maybe she just got tired of pretending to be the real family. That phrase, real family, stuck with me. Because that's what this whole story was really about. Not food, not holidays, not even resentment. It was about the quiet ache of wanting to belong and realizing you already do, even if some people refuse to see it. The next Christmas. A year later, I hosted again. This time, I didn't do it out of obligation. I did it because I wanted to. The house smelled like rosemary and pie crust. The lights glowed softly. And when Diane and her husband arrived, I was ready. She walked in holding a tray of mashed potatoes, visibly nervous. My daughter ran up and hugged her legs before I could say anything. Diane froze for a second, then crouched down and hugged her back. "I missed you, sweetheart," she said softly. Eric and I shared a look, one that said maybe this time will be different. And for once it was. No jabs, no backhanded compliments, just effort. She helped in the kitchen. She asked before touching things. And when dinner was ready, she waited. Didn't serve herself first, didn't take the head of the table. When I told everyone it was time to eat, she looked me in the eye and said, "Dinner's ready, thanks to our hostess." Our hostess. It was such a small phrase, but it carried a weight years in the making. We ate, we laughed. And when dessert came, Diane stood up and raised her glass. To the woman who made me realize family isn't who looks best on paper. It's who shows up, even when you don't deserve it. The table went quiet. Then Eric reached for my hand under the table. I smiled. Not because I needed her approval, but because I finally didn't. When everyone left that night, the house was calm again. Our daughter helped me put away dishes. "Mommy?" she asked. "Are we the real family now?" I knelt beside her, smiling. We always were.